First contact fallout. The vast emptiness of space surrounded the Earth exploration vessel Intrepid as it drifted near the rings of Saturn. Captain Alina Reyes stood on the bridge, her dark eyes focused on the sensor readings that had brought them to this remote corner of the solar system. The ship had been monitoring unusual energy fluctuations for 3 days, but so far, they had found nothing conclusive. "Captain, I'm picking up something strange," Lieutenant Jackson called from his station, voice tight with tension. "Multiple objects approaching from beyond the rings. They're moving fast, too fast for natural bodies." Elena felt her heart rate quicken, but years of training kept her voice steady. "On screen, Lieutenant." The main view screen shifted to show what at first appeared to be pinpricks of light, but as the computer enhanced the image, the true nature of the objects became clear. Vessels, at least 7 of them, each larger than any ship humanity had ever constructed. Their hulls were a deep midnight blue with pulsing crimson lights along their edges, giving them an almost organic appearance. "Are they transmitting anything?" Elena asked, straightening her uniform as she prepared for what could be humanity's first contact with an alien civilization. Communications Officer Diaz nodded. "Yes, Mom. It appears to be a directed transmission. I think they're trying to establish contact." "Put it through," Elena ordered, her mind racing through first contact protocols that suddenly seemed woefully inadequate. The view screen flickered, and the bridge crew collectively drew in a breath. The being that appeared had 4 eyes arranged in a diamond pattern on a face that resembled polished obsidian. Its body was covered in what looked like articulated plates of some metallic substance, and it stood nearly 7 feet tall. "I am High Commander Zek Thrax of the Craxian Imperium," the alien announced, its voice a dissonant blend of tones that the ship's computer struggled to translate. "Your vessel has been detected within Imperium territory." Elena stepped forward. "I am Captain Alina Reyes of Earth's exploration vessel Intrepid. We weren't aware this region was claimed by any civilization. We come in peace and would welcome dialogue between our peoples." The Craxian commander's upper eyes narrowed. "Your ignorance of our territorial boundaries is noted but irrelevant. Your species has been observed for some time. Your technological development has reached a point of interest to the Imperium. We would be happy to discuss technological exchange." Elena began, but was immediately cut off. "There will be no discussion. The Craxian Imperium does not exchange. We assimilate or we destroy. Your species will submit to Imperium rule and provide resources as directed. Your technological and biological distinctiveness will be evaluated for useful elements." The bridge fell silent. Elena felt a cold anger rising within her. "Commander Zek Thrax, Earth has no quarrel with your people, but we will not surrender our sovereignty. Surely there's room for peaceful coexistence." The alien's feeding appendages twitched in what might have been amusement. Primitive species always invoke peace when confronted with superior force. "It is predictable. Your resistance would be futile. The Craxian Imperium has consumed thousands of worlds. Yours will be no different." Elena noticed warning lights flashing on multiple consoles around the bridge. The Craxian ships were powering up weapon systems. "Commander, please reconsider," Elena said firmly. "War would serve neither of our interests." "War?" The Craxian's voice contained something like humor. "This is not war, human. This is pest control. You have one of your Earth hours to signal your planet's surrender." The transmission cut off abruptly. "Their weapons are hot, Captain," Security Chief Alvarez reported grimly. "Those energy readings, they're like nothing I've ever seen before." Elena turned to Lieutenant Diaz. "Prepare an emergency transmission to Earth. Include all scanned data of their ships and a full recording of this conversation. Mark it highest priority." As the communications officer worked, Elena addressed her crew. "Listen carefully. We may not survive the next hour, but what we do here matters. Earth needs to know what they're facing." The senior officers nodded, their faces resolute despite the fear Elena knew they must be feeling. "Transmission ready, Captain," Diaz announced. Send it now, continuous loop. Make sure it gets through, Elena ordered, then turned to Alvarez. What defensive options do we have? The security chief's face was grim. Not many, Captain. Our shields were designed for debris and radiation, not weapons of this magnitude. But we might be able to buy some time with maneuvering thrusters and tactical positioning near Saturn's rings. Elena nodded. Do it. Every minute we keep them focused on us is another minute for our warning to reach Earth. The bridge crew worked with focused intensity, preparing for what they all knew might be their final stand. Elena recorded a personal message to be attached to the transmission. This is Captain Elena Reyes of the Intrepid. Earth faces an imminent threat from an alien force called the Craxian Imperium. They demand our immediate surrender. They have attacked without provocation. She paused, choosing her next words carefully. Do not surrender. Prepare defenses. They want war. You'll get your war. Exactly 57 minutes later, the first Craxian energy blast struck the Intrepid's shields, which collapsed almost instantly. The second blast tore through the ship's hull, breaching the reactor containment. Captain Elena Reyes and her crew never saw their homeworld again, but their sacrifice would echo through humanity's greatest hour of need. The emergency transmission from the Intrepid reached Earth 18 hours later. Within minutes, it was being analyzed by military and scientific experts. Within hours, it had been viewed by every world leader. Panic rippled across the globe. Religious zealots proclaimed the end times. Stock markets plummeted. Civilians hoarded supplies. But amid the chaos, something unexpected happened. Humanity began to unite. The United Nations Security Council convened an emergency session and, for the first time in its history, reached unanimous agreement within hours. The United Defense Coalition was formed, bringing together military forces, scientific minds, and industrial capacity from every nation on Earth. Dr. Navin Shah, formerly the head of quantum physics at MIT, was appointed to lead the technological response team. The brilliant but often overlooked scientist, Shah had spent decades studying theoretical applications of quantum mechanics that most of his peers considered impossible. 3 days after the Intrepid's destruction, Shah addressed the hastily assembled Coalition Science Division in their underground facility beneath the Swiss Alps. The Craxians believe us to be primitive, he said, gesturing to the holographic display showing the alien ships. They're wrong. Captain Reyes and her crew didn't just warn us. They gave us a gift. He expanded the display to show detailed sensor readings from the Intrepid. Their ship captured comprehensive data on Craxian technology. Their weapons are based on principles we've theorized but never implemented. Their hull materials contain elements we recognize. Their propulsion system operates on quantum principles I've been developing for years. A general from the Chinese delegation raised his hand. Are you saying we can match their technology? Shah shook his head. Not immediately. No, but we can adapt what we know based on what we've seen. With global cooperation and resources, we can compress decades of development into months. And if we can't? Asked a British scientist. Shah's expression hardened. Then humanity becomes another footnote in the Craxian conquest records. I prefer a different outcome. Work began immediately. Around the world, manufacturing facilities were converted to war production. University labs focused exclusively on alien technology. Military training centers prepared soldiers for a type of combat no human had ever experienced. What would have once been impossible became reality through necessity. Nations shared military secrets. Corporate rivals pooled research. Scientists published breakthroughs instantly rather than waiting for peer review. 87 days after first contact, Dr. Shah's team achieved their first breakthrough, a working prototype of a shield system based on Craxian principles. 2 weeks later, they successfully tested a weapons system that could theoretically penetrate Craxian shields. In orbit above Earth, construction platforms that had been meant for commercial space stations were repurposed to build humanity's first true warships. Unlike the massive Craxian vessels, Earth's ships were smaller, faster, and designed specifically to exploit the weaknesses Dr. Shaw's team had identified in the alien technology. The first vessel, aptly named Rise after the Intrepid's captain, was completed 4 months after first contact. 6 more followed in rapid succession, each incorporating improvements based on simulations and testing. Admiral Wei Chen, formerly of the Chinese Navy and now commander of Earth's United Defense Fleet, gathered the captains of the 7 vessels on the bridge of the Rise for their first joint briefing. "The Craxians believe they know what to expect from us," he said, looking at each of the officers assembled before him. Each captain had been selected not only for their skill, but for their creativity and adaptability, qualities that would be essential in the coming conflict. "They expect a primitive species with primitive tactics," Wei continued. "They expect us to either surrender immediately or fight conventionally and lose. They do not expect what we are about to do." He activated the tactical display, showing Earth's solar system and the projected approach vector of the Craxian fleet. "Our intelligence suggests they will send a smaller force first, before committing their main fleet. Typical conquest protocol for them, based on records we've analyzed from the Intrepid scans. This gives us one opportunity, one chance to show them that Earth will not be an easy conquest." Captain Sophia Martins of the UDF Resilience studied the display. "We can't match them ship for ship, even with our new technology." "No," Wei agreed. "So we won't try. Humanity has always excelled at asymmetrical warfare when faced with superior forces. We will fight as they never expect us to fight." He outlined the plan: a daring ambush near Jupiter's moons, using the gas giants' radiation belts to mask their presence until the critical moment. The Earth fleet would not engage the Craxians directly but would instead use hit-and-run tactics, targeting vulnerabilities and retreating before the aliens could bring their superior firepower to bear. "We have one advantage they don't," Wei told his captains. "We're fighting for our very existence. There is no fallback position, no acceptable loss. Either we win or humanity ends." As the meeting concluded, Captain Rajiv Mehta of the UDF Phoenix voiced the question on everyone's mind. "Do we have a chance, Admiral?" Realistically, Admiral Wei's face was solemn but determined. "Throughout history, humans have faced overwhelming odds and survived. We adapt. We innovate. We find ways to prevail when logic says we should fail." He looked out the viewport at the blue-green sphere of Earth below. "This time will be no different." The Earth fleet departed 2 days later, heading toward Jupiter to lay their trap, while behind them, humanity prepared for the greatest fight of its existence. The Reckoning. The 7 ships of Earth's defense fleet waited silently in the shadow of Europa, Jupiter's ice-covered moon. All systems were powered down to minimal levels, making them nearly invisible to sensors. For 2 weeks, they had observed Craxian supply vessels following the same route through the solar system, clearly unconcerned about any human resistance. Admiral Wei stood on the bridge of the UDF Rise, watching the tactical display as 6 red markers appeared, moving in formation. 4 supply ships escorted by 2 warships, exactly as intelligence had predicted. "They're right on schedule," Captain Martinez noted from her position on the Resilience, her voice coming through Wei's earpiece. "They don't even vary their course." "Arrogance," Wei replied. "They see us as prey, not a threat." He touched the fleet-wide communication channel. "All ships, prepare to execute on my mark." The Craxian vessels drew closer, their energy signatures bright against the void of space. "Now," Wei ordered calmly. "Attack pattern Echo." The Earth fleet powered up simultaneously. The Rise and 2 other ships launched from Europa's shadow, while the remaining vessels emerged from hiding places around Jupiter's other moons. They accelerated rapidly, converging on the Craxian formation from multiple vectors. "Target locked on lead escort," reported Weapons Officer Takahashi. Wei watched as the Craxian ships registered the sudden appearance of the Earth fleet. Their tight formation began to break, but too slowly. They were unprepared for an attack this far from Earth. "Fire," Wei commanded. The Rise released a barrage of modified quantum weapons, calibrated to the specific frequencies Dr. Shaw had determined would penetrate Craxian shields. The energy pulse struck the lead escort ship, bypassing its defensive systems and tearing through its hull. The Earth ships executed their carefully planned maneuvers, attacking from multiple angles in a pattern that appeared chaotic, but was precisely choreographed. The Craxians, accustomed to enemies who fought in predictable patterns, struggled to respond. "Second escort is targeting us," Takahashi warned. "Evasive pattern Delta," Wei ordered. The Rise rolled and changed direction, with an agility no Craxian ship could match. The enemy's energy blast missed by kilometers. 15 minutes later, both Craxian escorts were crippled, and 3 supply ships had been captured. The fourth jumped into faster-than-light travel, escaping back toward the outer system. "Let it go," Wei said. "We want them to report what happened here." He turned to his communications officer. "Signal the boarding teams. Secure those ships and any surviving crew." On the captured Craxian vessel designated Target 2, Major Maya Rodriguez led her boarding team through the alien corridors. The ship's interior featured strange geometries that seemed to defy human architectural logic, angles that felt wrong somehow, lighting that pulsed in patterns that gave some team members headaches. "Life signs ahead," said Sergeant Okafor, checking her scanner. "One signature, different from the others we've encountered." They approached a sealed door. Tech specialist Chen connected a device to the alien panel, running decryption sequences developed from the Intrepid's data. "Got it," he said as the door slid open. Inside was not the typical Craxian crew member they had expected. This alien was taller, its obsidian skin reflecting the light differently, with more elaborate plate patterns. It wore what appeared to be an ornate uniform. An officer, Maya realized, perhaps even the captain. The Craxian stared at them with its 4 eyes. It made no move to attack or escape. Maya activated the translation device. "I am Major Rodriguez of Earth. You are now our prisoner." The alien's upper eyes narrowed slightly. "I am Sub-Commander Thresh of the Craxian Imperium." The translation came through. "You fight with technology similar to ours. How is this possible?" Maya didn't answer that question. Instead, she asked one of her own. "Why attack us? Earth never threatened your people." The alien made a gesture with its limb that the translation device couldn't interpret. "The Imperium expands. It is our purpose. Your world has resources. Your people will serve." "We will not serve," Maya replied firmly. "This battle means nothing," Thresh said, but Maya noticed a subtle change in its posture. "The Imperium has conquered thousands of worlds. Your resistance is temporary." "Were those other worlds warned?" Maya asked. "Did they have time to prepare?" The alien's eyes widened slightly. "The Emperor said humans were simple prey." It paused, studying them. "You are not." Maya smiled slightly. "No, we are not." She touched her communicator. "Admiral, we have a high-ranking prisoner, requesting transport to the Rias." As the Earth fleet regrouped and prepared to return to Earth orbit with their captured ships and valuable prisoner, Admiral Wei sent a tight-beam transmission home. "First strike successful. The Craxians now know we can fight. Soon, they'll learn we can win." Smoke filled the sky above Tokyo as Craxian troops advanced through the once beautiful city. They moved in tight formations, 4-eyed soldiers in environmental suits with weapons that could melt through concrete. Buildings that had stood for centuries crumbled under their assault. Tokyo Bay glowed an eerie crimson, where their ships had contaminated the water. Dr. Haruki Tanaka pressed himself against the wall of the underground tunnel, listening to the heavy footsteps of Craxian soldiers passing overhead. His resistance cell, 15 men and women who had once been professors, doctors, and engineers, waited silently behind him. They carried a mix of conventional weapons and modified devices that incorporated reverse-engineered alien technology. "Clear," he whispered after the sounds faded. "Move quickly." They hurried through the tunnel, part of an old subway system that had been abandoned years before the invasion. The Resistance had mapped these. Emperor of the Craxians, Wei said calmly. This is Admiral Y. Chen of Earth Defense Forces. Your fleet is surrounded. You are outnumbered for the first time in your conquest history. The Emperor hissed in rage. How dare you? Those ships belong to our subject worlds. Former subject worlds, Wei corrected. When Commander Reyes infiltrated your flagship, she didn't just plant biological agents. She downloaded your entire Imperial database, including the locations of all your conquered territories and the suppression methods you used on them. Another alien appeared beside Wei on the screen, a Thraxian with crystalline appendages and bioluminescent skin. The humans shared this information with us, it said. They helped us overthrow your governors while your attention was focused on Earth. A third figure joined them, a massive Morrican with stone-like skin. The Imperium is collapsing, Emperor. Already 53 worlds have declared independence. The Emperor's rage was terrible to behold. You will all be destroyed for this treachery. Earth most of all. Look at your tactical display, Wei suggested calmly. Your ships are surrounded 3-1. We've already demonstrated our ability to neutralize your technology. The Emperor stared at the display, seeing the truth of Wei's words. The Craxian fleet was completely encircled by the combined forces of Earth and the former subject worlds. What are your terms? The Emperor finally asked, his voice barely controlled. Unconditional surrender, Wei replied. The Craxian Imperium will withdraw from all occupied territories. You will provide reparations to the worlds you've damaged, and you will never again threaten Earth or any of our allies. And if I refuse? A Zechuan ship moved forward, positioning itself directly in front of the Emperor's flagship, its weapons powered up, targeting systems locked. Then we finish what you started, Wei said simply. The choice is yours. For a long moment, silence hung across the communication channel. Then, with visible effort, the Emperor spoke. The Craxian Imperium surrenders. 6 months later, Admiral Wei Chen stood on the observation deck of the newly constructed Unity Station, Earth's first true space dock and diplomatic center. Beside him stood representatives from 27 formerly subjugated species, now allies in the newly formed Galactic Cooperative. It's remarkable, said the Thraxian ambassador, its crystalline form refracting the light from distant Earth. For centuries, the Craxians told us humans were primitive, dangerous savages to be avoided or conquered. They feared you would discover their weaknesses. We nodded. They weren't entirely wrong about the dangerous part. The Craxians made one critical error, said Dr. Shah, who had joined them on the observation deck. They assumed technological superiority meant inevitable victory. They forgot that necessity drives innovation, and that threatened species fight hardest when cornered. What will Earth do now? Asked the Morrican representative. Your technology has advanced centuries in less than a year. Many worlds are watching with interest, and some with concern. We gazed out at the stars, countless worlds waiting to be discovered. We'll remember Captain Elena Reyes and her crew, who gave their lives to warn us. We'll remember that cooperation saved us when division would have doomed us, and we'll ensure that no species ever again faces the threat of extinction at another's hands. He turned to face the assembled representatives. The Craxians wanted war, and humanity gave them one. But what we really excel at isn't fighting. It's building, creating, connecting. That's the real human strength the Craxians never understood. As the representatives discussed the future of their newfound alliance on Earth below, humanity looked to the stars not with fear but with hope. The universe had proven to be a dangerous place, but humans had proven themselves equal to its challenges. And somewhere, perhaps, Captain Elena Reyes could see what her sacrifice had accomplished, not just the survival of her species, but the beginning of something far greater than humanity had ever imagined.